You checked your balance this morning. You're not broke, you're not drowning, but you still did the math in your head twice before you grabbed coffee, and you couldn't really explain why. It's not like you're spending recklessly. You didn't buy anything big this week. No impulse purchases, no wild nights out. Just normal life. Groceries, gas, the subscription you forgot to cancel, but honestly you use it. But somehow, by Thursday, you're doing that thing again, mentally tallying what's left before payday, checking the app. Not because something's wrong, just checking. You know the number, you looked an hour ago, but you look again anyway. And there's this low hum of tension that doesn't really go away. Not panic, not fear, just this quiet background noise that money exists, and you have to stay aware of it. You're at dinner with friends, and someone suggests splitting an appetizer. You say yes, but there's a half-second pause before you do. A tiny calculation, a quick mental check. Nothing dramatic, just present. Always present. Nothing is technically wrong, and that's the problem. Because over time, you start to notice something. It's not about one bad month. It's not even about what you're spending on. It's the feeling that never quite lets up. You could skip the coffee tomorrow. You could meal prep. You could do all the right things, and you probably already do some of them. But the tightness doesn't leave. The mental load stays. Even when you're being good, even when you're being careful, there's still this sense that you're one unexpected expense away from having to reshuffle everything. And maybe that's happened before. The car thing, the medical bill, the wedding gift you forgot was coming. So now you're just vigilant. Not stressed exactly, just never fully relaxed.
You start to realize it's not the transactions, it's the space between them, the constant low-grade math, the adjusting, the recalculating, the staying alert. Money isn't just something you manage, it's something you carry all day, every day. And here's what nobody really talks about. This isn't a spending problem, it's an attention problem. Your income isn't broken, your budget might even be fine, but your brain is doing the work of a financial system manually. Every day, every decision, every "can I afford this" thought is a tiny withdrawal from your mental energy, and it adds up, not in your bank account, in your head. You wake up and you're already thinking about it. What's due this week? What cleared yesterday? Whether that pending charge went through yet? You're not obsessing, you're just aware, constantly aware. And awareness takes energy, even when it's quiet, even when it's just humming in the background. You're not bad with money, you're just running a system that requires you to be constantly switched on. And that system has a cost you don't see on any statement. It shows up as tiredness, as irritability when someone asks you to grab lunch, as that weird guilt when you buy something totally reasonable. It's not about the money, it's about the monitoring. Think about it like this. Two people earn the same salary, same expenses, same city. Same bills, same rent, same car payment. One of them feels relatively calm about money. The other feels like they're always one unexpected charge away from stress. What's the difference?
It's not discipline. It's not willpower. It's not even income. It's whether their money has a place to go or whether they have to decide where it goes over and over again in real time. One person set it up once. Rent leaves on the first. Savings leave on payday. Bills are automated. They check in once a week, maybe. The other person manages it daily. They move money between accounts. They delay transfers to make sure things clear. They keep a running tally in their head because they're not sure what's hitting when. Same income, completely different mental experience. And the second person isn't doing anything wrong. They're just doing everything, manually, all the time, and their brain is tired. Look, you can't fix this by trying harder. You can't think your way out of decision fatigue. The only way money stops feeling heavy is when it stops depending on how alert you are, when the rent leaves automatically, when savings happen before you see the paycheck. When your brain isn't the system, it's just the supervisor. That's not about earning more, it's about designing less. Money doesn't get easier when you make better choices, it gets easier when you have to make fewer of them. And I'm not saying you need some complicated app or a finance degree. I'm saying the opposite. The simpler the system, the less you have to think. The less you think, the less you carry. Most people assume financial stress is about not having enough, and sometimes it is, but a lot of the time,
It's about having to stay present with what you do have, having to remember, having to track, having to decide. That's exhausting, even when the numbers are fine. You don't need more money to feel less stressed. You need fewer decisions. Here's where it gets tricky, because this kind of stress doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up as a crisis.
It shows up as a mood. You're a little shorter with people, a little more withdrawn when plans come up, a little slower to say yes to things that cost money, even when you can afford them. And the frustrating part? You might not even connect it to money, because you're not broke, you're just tired. And when people are tired in this specific way, they start making decisions that don't help. They avoid looking at their accounts. They put off setting things up because it feels like one more thing. They keep everything manual because at least they know what's happening, even if it's exhausting. But control and clarity aren't the same thing. You can feel in control and still be drowning in decisions. And eventually, your brain just stops cooperating. You forget to transfer money. You miss a payment you knew was coming. Not because you're careless, because you're overloaded. And the system you're running isn't designed for humans. It's designed for machines, but you're the one running it. Maybe you've tried to fix this before.
You downloaded the app. You made the spreadsheet. You told yourself you'd check in every Sunday. And it worked for a while, until life got busy, until you missed 1 week and then another. And suddenly you're back to doing it all in your head again. Because the system required you to maintain it. It didn't run on its own. And anything that depends on you being consistent, focused, and energized every single week, that's not a system, that's a second job. And you already have one of those. The real trap isn't spending. It's the belief that you just need to be more disciplined, more consistent, more on top of things. But you can't willpower your way out of a design problem. And this is a design problem. Your money needs a structure that doesn't require you to remember, decide, or manage constantly. It needs to function whether you're paying attention or not. That's the only way it stops being a mental load. You downloaded the app. You made the spreadsheet. You told yourself you'd check in every Sunday. And it worked for a while. Until life got busy. Until you missed a week, and then another. And suddenly you're back to doing it all in your head again. Because the system required you to maintain it. It didn't run on its own. And anything that depends on you being consistent, focused, and energized every single week, that's not a system. That's a second job. And you already have one of those. The real trap isn't spending. It's the belief that you just need to be more disciplined, more consistent, more on top of things. But you can't willpower your way out of a design problem. And this is a design problem. Your money needs a structure that doesn't require you to remember, decide, or manage constantly. It needs to function whether you're paying attention or not. That's the only way it stops being a mental load. If you've been feeling this and couldn't name it, you're not imagining it. This is real, and it's common. More common than people admit. Because we're taught that financial stress is about not having enough. So when you do have enough, or close to it, you feel like you shouldn't be stressed, like it's ungrateful, like you're bad at this. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is you're being asked to run a system with your attention, your memory, and your energy, and no one can do that long term without feeling it. You're not failing, you're just human. And the system you're using wasn't built for humans. It was built for people who have time, who have margin, who aren't already stretched thin. But most of us don't live like that. We're managing jobs, relationships, health, responsibilities, and money sits on top of all of it, asking for attention, constantly. So yeah, your money needs a structure that doesn't require you to remember, decide, or manage constantly. It needs to function whether you're paying attention or not. That's the only way it stops being a mental load.
You're tired, and that makes sense. If this felt uncomfortably familiar, you're not the only one carrying this. Most people are. They just don't talk about it, because it doesn't sound like a real problem. I'm tired of thinking about money. Doesn't get the same sympathy as, I'm broke, but it's just as real, and it's just as draining. This channel isn't about quick fixes or motivation. It's not about grinding harder or cutting out lattes. It's about understanding the weight before we talk about lifting it. And sometimes, just naming the thing is enough to make it feel a little lighter. If this connects with where you are, feel free to like the video or stick around by subscribing. This video is for you. There's more here. Take your time,